Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.
Hello, welcome to Kalamazoo's Lively Arts. I'm Denny Cooley, and during the next 30 minutes we'll go backstage and behind the scenes to bring Kalamazoo's diverse and thriving art world a little bit closer to you. First up, Ashley Bryan takes us to the Theater of the Mind, the All Ears Radio Theater.
Many of us may not be able to remember sitting around the radio, listening to a play and letting the voices alone spin the images in our heads. Happily, it's not too late. With the help of the Kalamazoo Arts Council, a group of actors, directors, playwrights, and really passionate radio people, known as the All Ears Theater, are bringing the old-fashioned radio play back to life.
Time draws near, and the sound of footsteps can be heard walking along Michigan Avenue.
Don Ramlow was the brainchild of the All Ears Radio Theater.
I had contact with Rick Huey from the Gilmore Foundation, Jr., working on stuff involved with my normal job I had at the time with the city of Portage. And one day Rick asked me, well, Don, what are you doing? I heard you're going on vacation. And so I told him I was going to one of my conventions where I'm doing this, and he says, well, son of a gun, this falls right in line with something I've been thinking about, an idea to bring to Kalamazoo of doing radio theater.
Hey, loser, fix your car!
Undaunted, I tried it once more.
Live sound effects, professional recording equipment, live music, all the techniques involved, and out of that, the idea for the radio theater troupe came about. The idea and credit for the actual name All Ears Theater belongs with the Arts Council.
Why resuscitate radio drama in this very visual age of television?
Because people will come and they'll see something that you do, and when they hear it over the radio, they can picture something completely different, but when they see you do it, they're just, especially little kids, they're just amazed, and they come up to you afterward and they want to ask you, can I do this, can I try this, and that's just a lot of fun.
Can I help you, or are you just going to stare at the building some more? Because whatever you want to do is cool with me.
Thanks. I'd like to go into the building, please.
Cool. What's your name?
Mace Cannon, super spy.
So, would that be under spy, or?
Cannon. Starts with a C, as in Cannon.
Huh. Doesn't seem to be on my list. Oh, wait. Uh-oh.
Is there a problem?
Yeah. Seems my boss doesn't want you coming in the building just yet. Sorry about that. Hey, have you had lunch? 'Cause I have a break coming up and...
Listen, doorman person.
Name's Chad.
Listen, Chad, doorman person. It is very important that I be allowed inside. Now, are you gonna make things difficult, or are you gonna move away from the door?
Wish I could, man, but the boss is pretty clear about not letting you in until it was time. Hey, what time is it?
Let's check my roll A. It's 1:05.
Whoa, I'm supposed to be at lunch. Catch you later.
What has happened is we have a lot of people auditioning to act in these shows or do sound effects that maybe did theater back when they were in high school or in their college days, have not participated in some of the other arts or theatrical venues that we have here in town, but love doing this because they don't have to memorize lines. They do have to use their voice, but they don't have to memorize, which is a great relief in that case. And it only requires a 1-week commitment of their time to put this on. We rehearse and perform all within 1 week's span of time, and then they're done.
Remember the restraining order?
Oh, yes. So, what are the instructions?
You're to infiltrate the secret operations base of an evil dentist who has been contaminating the water supply with sugar in a desperate attempt to drum up business for his failing practice.
What's the difference or benefit of radio drama over doing a regular play in a theater?
This is very different. There's so much more room for fluctuation in the voice, and you get to be a little bit more wild. You know, you always pick a voice that's appropriate for a news story. If you're talking about, say, some wonderful new development or some sort of fun kids, you know, heart family story, that's one thing. But then, unfortunately, you also have to read stories on the air like, you know, someone had a car accident and died, or a long-standing community member has passed away. And so, you know, there's not a whole lot of room for variation within the news context. But here, you can be a complete fruitcake if you want to. You can scream, you can use crazy accents.
I don't know what's going on here. This is unbelievable. I'm next.
No, know me. I'm supposed to be next.
My teeth hurt. I'm going next.
Everyone stay calm. Dr. Feelbad is very busy.
Miss, what seems to be the problem here?
We're a bit overbooked tonight.
I noticed. May I ask your name?
No, but you can read my name tag.
Wanda. Wanda.
Can you find a seat? Actually, we're out of seats and Reader's Digest.
Wanda, sweetie, I need to see Dr. Feelbad right away. I know you want to help me out.
Hey, no cuts!
You still get to create a character in the case of the performance we're doing now before small characters for me, so you can do all your imitations. But you have to really focus on your voice and make sure that what you're trying to get across comes across really quickly without facial gestures, without moving. That's kind of a challenge, but it's fun. It makes it a lot different experience.
This is the women's bathroom.
Oh, terribly sorry, ma'am. Hey, are you single?
Get out!
If less time is such an issue, is it more relaxed?
It's kind of nerve-wracking. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it's really, really fun.
Ah, another closet of teeth!
Yeah, I mean, bringing it alive so quick, and working the sound effects in and making people think that they're really there, in this voyeuristic sense. They're listening into something that they shouldn't be listening into. So, yeah, it's a real challenge to make it alive and happen. So,
All Ears takes advantage of the vast talent in our community. The music was created and is played by high school students from the Education for the Arts program.
It was announced to the class that they were going to do this radio theater, and anybody who wanted to audition for a part or something could try out for that. But our teacher actually suggested that we do the music for this. But we were given some videotapes of radio theater to get kind of an idea of what we were going for, but really it's just our own style. We read the script and think about what would fit in there, and we use some more orchestral music and some of the traditional instruments from the period, too. Will came up with this melody line, and he gave me a bass line to work with, and I kind of shaped that out, and then we put the thing together and edited it on a computer, and we ended up with the theme as it is right now.
Of course, the best part about getting to watch radio theater is realizing how the sound effects are done. It's an illusion that's worth spoiling.
Here's a demonstration. See how nicely that worked?
Dr. Feelbad and I had crossed paths before. When I was an extraordinary handsome lad of 11, it seems I had a cavity that needed to be filled.
Now that our friend Mace is all strapped in, let's get this show on the road.
Audiences can come watch the half-hour performance for free at the First Baptist Church in downtown Kalamazoo, or listen to its broadcast on WMUK later
You've
in the
been
month.
listening to Mace Cannon in Death Calls in Sick.
So I see continued growth, continued interest. We have as many as 60 people now show up at our auditions for our shows, which is incredible.
Thanks, Ashley. Now let's move to the visual side of theater and explore the people behind the costumes at the Kalamazoo Civic Theater. Here's Doug Spagnola with that story.
We wanted to explore the work and the vision behind costuming shows, so we went to the Civic Costume Shop and talked to head designer Barb Stone and interns J.J. Hedrick and Anna Mames to find out a little bit more about what goes into this part of mounting a production. So, my first question is, how do we get from this to this? Or this to this? The right costume tells the audience a great deal about the character, before they speak, before their first line. We talked to JJ about her work on Escanaba in the Moonlight.
This is the older brother, Reuben, who hasn't gotten his buck, and that's what the whole play is about, is that will he get his buck this year, or will be the oldest Sodi never to catch a buck? And I really wanted to bring out the fact that he's not as adept with the deer hunting, and he's also married to Wolf Moon Dance, of the native tribe, and so I kind of wanted to bring that into his costume. So I put him in a shirt, and this isn't how it exactly looks, but he's got a shirt with bucks on it. So I was kind of thinking, if I wear bucks, maybe I'll catch one. I wanted to overemphasize like this kind of softness and contrast it with the other characters. So he's got this huge fur hood, and taking that along with the mittens, which you wouldn't really think of a park officer wearing.
And the costume can transform a person completely from who they are in their daily lives, like the nice girls in the past production of Chicago who play murderesses on stage.
This is the only time that I've ever let cast members choose what appeals to them the most, because it's kind of like you're putting a lot of their body out in front of the audience. One of the girls is out in a thong, you know, and she's like, well, I like the leg line. I want my entire leg to show. It'll make them look really long and lean. So I actually sent all the chorus clothes through the cast and said, which one would you like to wear the most, which one appeals to you the most, and just put your name on it for me. So that when we were choosing which was going to be which, we knew it would be something that they'd be willing to wear. So here's our girl with just the thong and just a sparkly halter top.
Where did these ideas come from?
I like to read the script, see little idiosyncrasies that they have. I was very attached to this shape hat, this very square, blocky. It reminds me of my grandfather, and that's kind of the way I see his character.
Little Princess is a story about a rich girl who goes to a boarding school in London in 1895. She has way poofier sleeves than either of the other two characters, and that's one of the things. Also, her colors, the material you'll see, I'm doing a fitting on this one later on, are much, the pink is actually a lot brighter than this. So she has like this red and yellow. Yellow is going to be her standard color. I find the yellow and red especially to be somewhat obnoxious. We call it the mustard and ketchup dress. Cruella de Vil is what we've been calling it lately on the neckline. It has this curved Dracula-type neckline, and these like black crow things coming off her shoulders, which are not in yet, but that's something that just gives her a little touch here and there.
Before the actors, before the casting, before the audition, it all starts with rendering.
I decided that this show, also this show, is going to be all black and white. But I have reservations on all black and white shows, and I want a little color. So we're putting color in the shirts and the linings of the coats. And now the project is to find out how many different ways you can do black and white and not repeat and not have the same thing over and over. Because every one of these guys in the show, 15 of them have to have a different suit. I'm finding chunks of material like this one that I really, really want to use. And it's old and it's vintage, but it's not very large. I'm like, well, if we're going to use this, the person who wears it can't be very large and the costume has to be very tiny.
So sometimes you get to dictate the casting based on your dresses?
No, I don't. That doesn't happen.
Sometimes you might start with the time period.
This time period had a lot of fluff and ruffles and lace and very somewhat gaudy. Miss Minchin has a lot of dark colors, and she doesn't have as much lace, or she's not as pretty frilly.
Or sometimes the best inspiration can be found in the script. Here's an unforgettable get-up from You Can't Take It With You.
Essie is a very free-spirited young lady who wants to be a ballerina, and she's very fluffy and free-spirited, and I think of her as myself when I was quite young, actually, and always wanted to be a ballerina and dressed up a lot when I was just around the house. So one of the main features of her dress are these huge flowers that are across the front of it, and then she has this big flowered tail, so when she turns around she kind of has a flopping flowered tail that's in the back.
It was more choosing Roxy's, you know, her kind of sweet, kind of vulnerable, and yet really deadly characteristics. So she has to be a little sexy. She's a dancer at a nightclub. But she's also, she's like a second banana to Velma, who's in prison already for murdering her husband and her sister. And everybody in the show has killed somebody. So the black really works out well for that. It's pretty morbid.
Hi, I'm JJ. I'm the costume designer.
So the first idea, then the rendering, then the first rehearsal so the actors can see what shoes they need to fill. For the cast of Footloose, JJ has broken the characters into 3 groups. The townspeople are in muted colors, the gang is in black, and the leads have some color. But most of all, everything is 80s.
A lot of you are going to be wearing tennis shoes or Keds or actual high tops and things like that in the show, so I'd like you to rehearse in those, and I'll get a list to Preston of the people that I want rehearsing in tennis shoes.
Then the fitting and the building. The Civic has a lot of storage. In fact, a recent inventory tallied 112,000 costumes. The storage costumes are recycled, reused, or loaned out to other theaters. After all, after so many years in production and so many costumes, there's probably something here for everyone.
Thanks, Doug, and you look great. Now for something completely different. You'll meet a man whose creative talents are amazing and virtually unknown, but whose work I'm sure you've seen. Here's Shelley Irwin with the man behind the mask.
A lot of people collect Batman memorabilia, but we found an artist who creates his own with such finite precision that we just had to introduce you to Bob Dom. Bob, tell us your story.
Well, how I actually got started in this, I saw an article in USA Today magazine, and there was a picture of a guy dressed as Batman for Six Flags Amusement Park, and I thought, you know, hey, I can do this. I sent some pictures in, and they started calling me. This is maybe well over 10 years ago. And they asked me, would you like to do the costumes? These pictures look great. And so I said, sure. And I thought, yeah, I'll do it for a year. And then things just kept building and building, and I kept getting more and more projects. I worked for Morris Costumes. I did statues. I did other things. I ended up doing some movies.
But did you have formal training?
No, I had no formal training whatsoever. Everything I do, I learned. It's just basically hook and crook. It's just basically whatever, you know, you read some books. At the time when I was starting out, when I was coming up, there was very little information that you could just cookbook formula and just do it. You had to just figure it out on your own, basically. You had to logically reason out, what do I have to do to get it to look or perform in a certain way.
There's a science to this too, isn't there?
Chemistry is a lot of it. It's all chemicals. I mean, everything about this is chemicals. Even the body cast is certain hybrid materials. It's not just a fiberglass, not your typical fiberglass resin. It's a hybrid of different type of materials. The foam latex thing it's all my own formula for foam latex. I don't use any store or I seldom use any store or off-the-shelf type chemicals. I have to basically, because I need it to do certain things that I can't go out and buy, so I have to actually create it.
We're talking creating in the basement of your good house.
Yes, creating in the basement of my good house, my workshop in my good house.
We go from Batman to this Green Man.
Yeah, this is a replica Green Goblin helmet, and this is pretty, compared to the costumes, this is actually pretty simple. It just starts out as a clay sculpture, and you make a mold, and then you run it in fiberglass. And then my partner, who helps me sometimes, he did the painting on this one, and he also came up with a kind of a unique lens. You can see how much the colors bounce off the lenses, and you can see out of the lenses, but you can't see into the lenses. And the teeth are chrome-plated, and just sits on a display stand, but it is wearable. You can actually wear this helmet.
Green Goblin to this Batman.
Same thing for Six Flags. This is getting pretty old now. It's been around for a while, but it's basically the same costume made at the same time period as the other ones. And it's foam latex, it's foam rubber. You can take it off the body cast and wear it. And
how are you making this foam rubber?
It's a 4-part foam system. I have my own formula for it, and the molds are made after the clay part is sculpted. You have to take and make a mold off the clay sculpture, remove the mold, take the clay off, and what's underneath the clay is called a core or an armature. And then you put the molds back together, lock them all together, and it's all real precision. Everything is very precision on these costumes. Everything has to be perfectly, like the layer of the bat has to be a perfect thickness. It has to be an exact mirror. If you drew a center line down here, this side has to be an exact mirror replica of the other side in every dimension, and every complex curve has to be identical. The thickness of the shoulders, the curvature of the shoulders, all has to be identical.
Bob, you've got to tell us about this Batmobile.
Well, what it's for, actually, what I'm building it for is it's more like a proof of concept project, because I want to get into more of automotive design, custom-made cars, automotive design, maybe some movie cars. So again, it's kind of a thing where I have to build something, prove that I can do it, to be able to promote myself as somebody who could conceivably put something like this together from scratch. So I have to do it. I'm doing the chassis. Everything is from scratch, built basically.
What are you using as your model?
Photos.
Photos?
Photographs, yeah. That's all
Not
it
a
is.
structure, just
No,
photos.
just photographs. It's scratch built from, air, basically.
Start to finish, time-wise.
Probably about a year, basically. By myself, it's about a year.
Talk about the tires.
Well, these are standard Goodyear racing tires. This hubcap, it's got the lid, the emblem inside that's lit, and this is just another. Again, everything is from clay. The nose is clay. Starts out in clay, and then I make a mold of it, and then I take the mold apart. And once the mold's taken off, I no longer need the clay, and then I have to go in and tool it, block it out, and which means making sure the inside of the surface of the mold is perfectly pristine. Every straight line has to be a straight line. Every curve has to be completely convex. And then I have to go in and tool the part. And then after the part comes out of the mold, then I have to bake it for a couple days.
So you're making costumes from scratch.
From scratch.
From photographs.
From photographs. And it's definitely you have to be able to take something off of a two-dimensional photograph, and you have to translate it in three-dimensional and make it look exactly like the piece you're trying to copy. It has to end up looking like this. I have to define the criteria for what it is I'm trying to build. How does the piece have to perform? How does it have to look? And then I have to basically problem solve it to get to that point, to make it do and look the way it has to be or the way that I want it to be.
But again, this is a chemistry. It's a science that you're involved
It's
in.
very much a science. Art and science are fused together quite a bit. You're dealing with lots of chemicals, chemical properties. How are the finished pieces going to hold up in terms of heat resistance, cold temperatures, sweat, perspiration, in terms of costumes? I mean, there's lots of things that you have to consider all at the same time. It takes on a different meaning.
As a kid, did you have the fascinations with the Batmans and the Robins?
Yes, I did. Absolutely. Yeah, I did. I actually did. And then I got away from it for a long time and actually I got all A's in art as a kid. And back in the 50s, that was not a thing that they encouraged a lot for guys to do. They wanted you to take science and math and be good at baseball. So after third grade or fourth grade, somebody entered my artwork in a national talent contest, and I got second place in the nation. It was a big deal, but they kept the emphasis, well, you're not doing well in math, you're not doing well in science, so you got to concentrate on this. So I was kind of shoved away from the art aspect of it till it wasn't until I hit my early 30s that I actually started fiddling with any of this stuff at all. So between that, I was doing other things. I went to school, got a degree in computer science, and did okay, nothing great. But when I got back into this thing, all of a sudden people were just, it started raising, people all of a sudden thought it was amazing, and I got more acknowledgement for that than anything I've ever done in my life. So naturally, I thought, well, I think I'd rather do this because people seem to like it better. So,
what are we in store for here, Bob?
Oh, these are just some various little side projects, basically. We have some silicone heads, and that's actually a self-life casting of me. My
That's
partner.
you?
That's me. It kind of looks like me, I think.
With glasses?
With glasses, yeah. I wear glasses, but I let him wear the glasses once in a while, so he can see something.
Sure. Well, give us the process on how this happens.
Well, this is actually a fiberglass casting of my head, and my partner painted it, and I just put the glasses on just to have some place to put my glasses. And my partner did the silicone. This is a silicone casting of Robin Williams' Bicentennial Man. He did this.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. He painted it, fabricated the silicone. And the vacuform mask. Over here we have a Chris O'Donnell head that's sort of in a halfway stage. It's just out of the mold in silicone, and it has to be painted, and the hair has to be punched in, which is a process where you have a needle and you thread the needle with a hair, and you actually punch the hair into the silicone. So the hair looks like it's growing out of the silicone.
And this is a finished project, and this is in working?
That's in progress, right? That's just fresh out of the mold, so it has a ways to go yet before it's finished. But this is actually completed.
Where does this go when it's completed?
It'll just go on a stand and just be a portfolio piece, as this is too.
And Robin Williams, how was this conceived?
It's based off of a life cast. The eyes are completely specially made to look real. All the hair and the eyebrows are punched in one individual hair at a time. Before that, though, the skin gets painted. and then it's mounted, and you have all the vacuform pieces here that complete the headpiece and that kind of thing. It's just, as it sits, it's mainly for display.
Does Robin Williams know you have this?
Probably not.
Bob Dillon, thanks for your time and talent.
Thank you.
Back to you, Denny.
Thanks, Shelley. And that's our program for this week. I'm Denny Cooley, and now for all of us at Kalamazoo's Lively Arts, thanks for watching.
Support for Kalamazoo Lively Arts is provided by the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation, helping to build and enrich the cultural life of Greater Kalamazoo.